Welcome to Escape This Podcast, a show that is usually a mix between escape room puzzles and tabletop role-playing, but we're between seasons. It's our break. This is bonus content. This episode, we do have some guests. I'll introduce them in a second, but we're going to be doing some fun puzzles and just chilling. It's going to be great.
Yep.
Danny, are you ready to do puzzles with me? We don't do puzzles together very often.
If you just said, are you ready to do puzzles, I would have already said no, because my brain is in a sleepy fog, but then you added with me. And I couldn't say no to that.
So
What?
say yes.
Okay, yes.
All right. We have two people coming on the show, a returning guest and a new one. Welcome back to the show, Scott Weiss.
Hello.
And welcome for the first time, Francis Heaney.
Hello.
Now, we've got you two on because you've done something. You've done something, and we want to show it off. So would you like to describe the book that you've written together?
Oh, by God, we did do a thing. It was,
Yes, we did.
It was brutal. It's the last time I write a book. No. So this is a book of logic puzzles and escape room puzzles called Escape Room Logic Puzzles, very inventively.
Of all people, we appreciate a clear name of the product.
Yeah, just a very down-to-earth, this is what it is.
It does what it says on the tin.
Exactly.
It's a bit of an immersive puzzle book where you follow a group of friends who go to a bunch of escape rooms, and so you solve puzzles alongside them when they're solving puzzles in the escape room, and you also solve sort of puzzles observing them, figuring out what they're doing and how they're doing it. So it's a kind of classic logic puzzles of that nature overlaid with a mix of escape room puzzles, which also often have a surprisingly logic-y bent to them. Like there are probably more Sudoku in the book than you find in your standard escape room, but we have some of those.
Oh, nice.
You've had this idea for a long time, right? Right, Francis?
Yeah, this has been in the works for a while. It was a book that was dreamed up years ago, and we had commissioned someone to write it. And during the pandemic, he decided that he wasn't sure what it should be, and he asked very nicely if he could not do it. And and I said, "Oh no, you can do it. The book should be exactly like this, and it'll be this kind of thing, and that kind of thing, and that kind of thing, and I'll help you do it." And he was like, "I don't feel like." And after I was done explaining it, I was like, "Well, I guess I should probably write it because it just explains the whole thing."
Yeah, and then I think right after we did the live stream with you guys and Neil Patrick Harris and Janet Varney, Francis asked me if I could sort of come on to help with the book, and thought about it for a while, and then we joined forces. And
I thought Scott would be important for the real escape room feel of it, because I mean I've done plenty of escape rooms, and I've certainly written all genres of puzzles, but the actual writing of a full escape room is the thing that Scott has done and I have not. And I wanted an expert on the team, as it were, to make sure that things felt like they ought to feel, to to not take you out of the story.
Nice.
So we came up with a cool thing where every time you get a combination from a puzzle, you go to the back of the book, and there's this huge list of words and numbers and things like that, and you can kind of try to look up, did you get it right? And if you did, if it's in the list, great. Then it has something like you open the case, or this is what you found when you open the case. So there's a little bit of discovery that comes out in the book as well. So
lovely. And I always like those. I never know when you have like a puzzle book the best ways to hide correctness or incorrectness and be able to check for that stuff.
Did you have any puzzle books as a kid that used different methods of that? I
did, because there's always the boring classic, like, did you get the answer right? Just turn the book over. It's upside down. It's written in the bottom and kind of small text. And you're like, yeah, but then when you're a kid, you're like, oh, I'll just have a quick little glance down the bottom. Oh, there it is. Oh, wow. Is it this?
It's hard not to look when it's right there.
Exactly. It's right there.
That always bothers me about newspaper quizzes. Like, at least move it to the next page when you've got the answers, not the bottom of the same box. But then don't go so far as to put it in tomorrow's newspaper. That bothers me.
Oh, yeah. Tomorrow's newspaper? Get out of here. That's just a cash grab.
That's how they get you. Do you remember? Did you? where you're from, did they have the ones where it's invisible ink? And
What?
so like you would highlight an area of the page and it would reveal the answer in invisible ink. There, you had a pen that would.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
certainly didn't have
I don't think I
that.
ever had that. I love that.
That's fun.
That was another way. And then for a while, Puzzle Write, the publisher that I edit for in addition to write for, was doing scratch off books for a while, which is the same thing, but you don't need a pen to do it. You just need a thumbnail. But we haven't done those for a while. I think the appeal of lottery scratch offs kind of faded the more that phone apps came into play and did not leave little bits of silver all over your floor.
Oh, that's part of the experience.
Now, the one childhood one that I had that feels closest to like finding little codes and things, I have no idea how well I'm going to describe it. Couldn't tell you the brand, but it was a magazine-y style thing, and it was almost trivia. It was very knowledge-based, and I remember each page would have a bunch of questions. They were all multiple choice, and they gave you a sort of coda wheel thing so that you could change each one. So like option circle, option triangle, or option square. And you could rotate the little things on this decoder wheel. And it also had holes in it. So you could flip to the back of the book and place it over an image of shapes and see if the shapes that you put in match the shapes that appear in the holes next to the questions.
Wild.
Couldn't tell you a brand, couldn't tell you anything, but that was fancy stuff for a child.
That is
very elaborate.
That's similar to
like the Exit.
I was going to say every exit game has a similar
wheel.
sort of mechanic for checking all your answers. They
not
have the
wildly
decoder wheel
different,
with every game.
It did definitely remind me of that.
Well, I don't want to keep talking about other people's puzzles. I want to do these
inspiration,
puzzles.
Billy. We have to talk about inspiration.
I want to do some escape room logic puzzles. And I have
more questions. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, okay, fine. Ask
I'm
more
not ready.
questions. I won't even do them. Everyone at home is siding with me. But you can ask you could ask 3 more questions.
Well, one of the big ones that I want to do is typically when we do escape rooms, and occasionally we go all out and we do puzzle hunts, and the difficulty level between a thing that you go out and do in an hour is very different from something that you do sitting at home for days at a time. Where did you decide you wanted your difficulty to sit?
I did not shoot for realism whatsoever. These things will take you much longer than an escape room in most cases. I mean, also you're solving an escape room with 10 people, perhaps. You could be in a big group. People are multitasking. People are putting their heads together. Things go faster when 3 different groups of 3 are working on 3 different puzzles. So I did not attempt to, make each section something you could do in an hour by any means. And that's not great value for a book anyway. Take your time.
I mean, that said, there are some puzzles I think in there that are relatively short, take up a small part of the page, relatively quick. I think, you'll be doing probably one of them now, but there are also some puzzles in there that are like huge multi-pages, 20, 15 clue logic puzzles.
Yeah, and I suppose that's also the thing, right? You can make it take longer than an escape room by far for each individual section, because unlike an escape room, I can get partway in and then be like, yeah, I'm done for today. I'll pick this book back up tomorrow and keep going. And it should be longer because I don't need to do it in one sitting the way an escape room you have to just sit and do and be the entire time.
And but in the world of the story, like one character will take on the hard Sudoku and everyone else will go work on other puzzles, and while they're starting another puzzle, they'll call, "Are you done yet?" "No, I'm not done yet."
Yeah. Just have to sit in all their heads, so it takes extra time.
That was a bit inspired by real life, because I've worked on puzzle hunts where one person there were teams where one person was good at logic puzzles and they got stuck working on the logic puzzle in the hunt for the whole stretch.
The worst is when one person is off doing a single puzzle, taking ages and ages, cannot figure it out, and then 40 minutes in, they're like, if I had a little key to it, I could do it, but it's so tough. And then one other person says, "Oh, I found this 35 minutes ago. Does this help?" Yes, that's exactly what I needed. I've been calling for it.
Experience.
And also in the stories, I think you also added, Francis did a good job of adding in hint system sort of as well. So
one of the
characters will say, I'm not sure what to do here. Another character say, oh, wait, I have this idea. And then if you want to hear what that other person said, you can go to the hint section in the back of the book. You could read that, and then you can come back and try to go.
That's nice.
Yeah, so it's kind of an attempt to capture the feeling of brainstorming with a group. Like you're stuck, but you can take the character's brainstorm, as it were.
Yeah, it's teamwork. It's just artificial teamwork.
Artificial teamwork.
Yeah, I thought it's really nice, and I like when a hint exists in universe that way. I like that it has a framework that isn't just like, hey, you human being doing the puzzle at home, have you screwed it up? Do you need my help, the person who wrote the book? Instead, it's like, no, look, it's part of the story. It's part of the environment.
It's diegetic as hell, baby.
All right, well, I think we are good to play some puzzles. We've been given a selection of puzzles.
Is there any sort of teaser that we should hear from you, or that the listeners should hear from you before we jump right in?
Contextualize some puzzles?
Well, the page 1 has the setup for this room, which is called Astray in Space.
Oh, it is. I just glanced and I thought it was called Ashtray in Space, and I thought, oh no.
That's next book.
So you could read that aloud if you like.
Oh, can I give it a read?
Yeah.
Sure,
okay.
Yes.
Astray in Space. And for people playing along at home, this whole thing is in the show notes, so you can read along with me and look at all the puzzles. The group signed up for Astray in Space, for which they received the following introduction. You are the crew of a spaceship whose navigation computer has massively malfunctioned, leaving you adrift with no clue as to your location. You might say you were lost, even. To leave the ship, you will have to safely land on a friendly planet, which you won't be able to find until the computer is repaired. You'll also need to repair the ship's main console. When I chose to do a character voice for this character, I didn't realize he was going to do the rest of the paragraph. Since all the instrument displays exploded when the computer malfunctioned. And you'll need to do all of that quickly, because the ship's oxygen supply will only last 1 more hour. The situation is quite dire, but fortunately, there is a helpful robot on board that can remind you how everything works. Less fortunately, she needs to be recharged. Good luck, and may the forceps be with you. That's the only tool that can open Rosalie's box of power cables.
Lovely.
Very
escape roomy.
Very escape roomy. Did make me want to do the Simpsons bit. Fortunately, there's a helpful robot. Less fortunately, she needs to be recharged. But she comes with your choice of topping. But the toppings are also cursed.
Second edition, we'll put that in.
Yeah, just put in some cursed frogate bits. Okay, so that's our context.
And then are we jumping right in?
Can we start doing some puzzles?
Okay.
Sure,
Go for it, yeah.
We'll do the puzzles. You could just give some color commentary on how poorly we're doing. Danny, would you like to read in a case of emergency?
Yep, cool. So this is our first little subsection here. And we have our teammates, I assume, having a chat with us here.
Yep.
Well, I guess the first thing to do is find those forceps, Ichiko said. Oh, here they are. Or at least here's the case they're in. Immediately next to the door they had entered, beneath a large decorative diagram of our solar system, was a sturdy case reading emergency forceps. The case also had the below phrases printed on it, along with an 8-digit locking mechanism. So there are a bunch of phrases here. We have new thieves, like the animal, GNU.
GNU thieves.
GNU thieves.
Another GNU.
Hunt erasure, mixes curry, puree joint, raises tune, risen man, steer haven, uptown teen.
And it is
I
worth
started
noting,
reading them faster because I didn't see anything off the top of my head.
But it is
there.
also worth noting there are 8 words and 8 dials.
Not 8 words, 8.
Sorry, yeah, 8
things.
lines. So
Technically
new thieves,
16
hunt
words.
erasure, mixes. Yeah, 16 words, but there's 8 bits.
And it looks like the device underneath is a digit combination lock.
With a sun on
Good
the
to know.
right.
And underneath that, we have other teammate Olga, who is a genius, saying, "Oh, I see what we need to do." And
Then we have the hint. If you'd like to hear Olga explain it fully, see page 95.
Yeah.
Well, I don't, Olga. Shut up.
Yep.
I don't need you.
So let's
Olga's
take a look
always
at this.
butting in.
Just because you've played the room already, Olga, and you're pretending this is the first time you've been here, but you were here 2 weeks ago, and they ran you through the room when you got out and you couldn't get out after an hour.
All right.
Bloody Olga.
So we do have that lock is in. We have these digits on this lock going left to right, and at the far right, we got a picture of the sun.
Yep.
The word solar system were in the clue, the intro as well.
Oh, are these going to be like...
So I figure we've got to do some sort of Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, etc. from the sun outwards. But how do we know which ones we want?
How many planets are there?
At the moment, 8.
8 planets.
With a lot of asterisks.
So maybe we can get the numbers 1 to 8 based on what planet each of these represent. Like maybe one of them represents Mars and therefore will be number 4.
Goodness.
But and I do see like there's a J in Puree Joint, which makes me want to go to Jupiter.
It does have all the letters of Jupiter in it.
Wait, hold on. What's left over if we get all the letters of Jupiter out of Puree Joint?
No.
I have to write it down. Someone told me I should have printed this whole thing out, and I thought I don't need to. Okay, Jupiter, Jupiter 1.
What? Oh.
If you get rid of all the letters of Jupiter, you end up with the number 1. It's EON, but it rearranges to 1.
Yeah, okay, I just wrote the word eon.
Well, I'm going to say that's 1. So I reckon that's the, 1, 2, 3, 4th clue. I think we remove Jupiter and we get 1 as the number that appears as the 4th thing. I reckon we remove the planet and we get a number. That's what it looks like so far.
Cool.
So, like, New Thieves, what is that going to be? It could
Venus?
be Venus.
It's got a V.
So, New Thieves.
Vegan. Otherwise known as 8.
8 fits. Oh, I love that. That's very cool. So it's 8, and then Hunt Erasure.
Could be Earth.
Oh, I like that. It does have an E that just feels... You see an H, a T, and an E early on in Hunt Erasure. So if you get rid of Earth, what do you get? I don't know why I'm writing it down, because all that happens...
Oh, maybe not. Yeah, hold on.
You get
I get unsure.
Okay, let's say it's unsure. Let's be unsure for a second.
Put a question mark next to that one.
Yeah. Mixes curry.
Spin that dial randomly.
Mixes curry. I'm not even going to solve it. I reckon it's just 6 because it looks like the word 6.
I was going to say, wait, what planet has an X in it besides Planet X?
Planet X.
That would leave you with
the
Mercury.
Setting for
right?
my father's first children's book.
So Mercury for sure.
Mercury, and what leaves us with 6?
Yeah.
Great. So Mercury 6.
Oh no, Steerhaven could be Earth as well. What are we doing?
Puree Joint we got was 1.
Nice. Any planets with a
Razor's
Z for
Tune.
Razor's Tune?
Oh, is
Mercury,
there a planet with a
Venus,
Z?
Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. It's going to be Saturn.
That doesn't have a Z in it. Saturn.
Yeah.
What does that leave us with?
What does it leave you with?
0.
There we go.
So Zor? What the hell is Zor?
I did think I'd gotten Zorn at first.
Risen
Don't forget
Man.
the humble 0.
Risen Man has
watching a quiz show
Mars?
yesterday, and 0 was definitely very important for one of the questions. Risen Man, Mars 9.
Mars 9. So we get Mars and 9 in there.
Okay.
Steerhaven. I'm assuming
Hunt Erasure. No, that didn't have a P in it. The last one's going to be Neptune.
I'm assuming we so what is it going to be? This is going to be
We used Mercury, Venus, Earth, maybe. Still unsure about that one.
Well, it could be Earth.
It could
on
be
this
Earth
one.
again, possibly, but
Gets us 7. Earth 7.
Ooh, okay.
So the other one isn't Earth unsure.
Okay, well the last one's clearly going to be Neptune.
Uptown teen.
U-N.
7-Eleven. And she's very keen.
All right.
I bet she's
Took me
never
longer
had-
than it should have to anagram what we had left.
Wait, what's this one? Neptune, not Uranus. N-E-P.
Yes, that's what we haven't done yet.
2.
How do I erase?
What have we not done yet?
Uranus, which
Oh,
makes
so-
also sense.
Oh, so Hunter Asia is not Earth unsure. Was it deliberately unsure how to
Was
get
that a-
Earth, or was that just a cool coincidence?
Cool coincidence.
That's amazing.
That's really amazing.
We put in the
Honored
wrong
like
one.
coincidence as a secret intention.
I love it so much. So instead, or what are we taking instead? Uranus.
Yep.
Yes. Well, now I've also 3, right? No. Yeah? 3.
8. Wait. Oh.
8. No, 3.
Wait,
What?
sorry. I was looking at the wrong one. I looked straight up to the top
3,
again.
right?
Yep, 3.
3.
Okay, now, the only question left is as we put them in, do we want to put them in, like, order of planets? So, for example, the far leftist one, the furthest away from the sun, should we do our result for Uptown Team?
Yes, because that's why when it says here when they put it in, it's like you put in the 8-digit number, which didn't work, and Greg says, "Oh, derp, I know where we went wrong." Which will be that. We did them in the order they're written as opposed to the order the planets are.
Yep.
So, in order, from left to right, it is, what's the furthest out?
Furthest out is Neptune. No, hold on. Yep, Neptune.
I feel like sometimes,
Mercury,
isn't
Venus,
that one of those
Jupiter,
things
Saturn,
that
Uranus, Neptune.
at a certain time of the year changes?
No, that's what Pluto was.
Oh, that's what Pluto messed with.
Yeah, Pluto.
Okay, so it's Neptune is the
which
furthest
I
out.
don't think we ever actually experienced in Pluto's
No, we didn't get through a
discovered
full
lifetime.
Pluto
Some
year.
centuries to get to that bit.
Yeah, bloody Pluto. Okay, so it's
Neptune, then Uranus.
So what's that? That's
Uptown
2,
Teen 2, then Hunter
Uptown
Asia
Teen
3,
2, Hunter Asia 3,
then Saturn.
which was Razor's Tune 0,
great.
and then Jupiter, which was
Puree
Puree
Joint
Joint 1,
Eon 1.
and then
Mars.
Mars was Risen Man 9,
Lovely.
And-
Earth.
Earth was Steerhaven 7,
Great. Venus.
Venus,
Gun Thieves 8. New
uh,
Thieves,
Gun
not Gun
Thieves.
Thieves.
Yep, Gun Thieves 8,
And Mercure
and Mercure was Mix's Curry 6. So it should be 230197886.
Very good.
Woohoo!
Nice! Get out of here, Olga. We don't need you. Friggin' Olga.
This is the real way to do an escape room.
And
Shove
if
the
you look
friend
at
out
the
of the way.
combinations page, it tells you it opens the case and allows you to retrieve the forceps.
Woohoo!
Nice.
Good job.
We found the magic forceps.
Yes. So that was a puzzle that I wrote for the
Yeah,
book.
please.
Yes.
Actually,
What was-
Francis is the one who did most of the puzzles in this book. I did a lot of consulting. That's life. But I actually wrote that one, and I don't.
Yeah.
Did we do this one? This was one of the first kind of.
This was one of the early ones. Yeah, this was one of the first chapters we envisioned. Not all of it got written at once, but this was an early concept. Yeah.
And how
Puzzle-wise,
long does it take you to come up with the words that make that puzzle work?
It wasn't. I mean, basically, what I did was I basically took each planet and I looked at each number that you could go with it, and I think I plugged them into an anagram generator.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah, I
sense.
Just sort of like, what's some interesting words or phrases that you could make from these that sort of, I mean, they don't make sense, obviously, but at least kind of sound cool.
But that's also kind of, you sort of want that a little bit in the puzzle. You want the words to not necessarily make sense. Because otherwise it's like, well, this is just a normal sentence. Why would I do a puzzle to it? It's got to feel puzzly. And these feel like puzzles.
Right. And the words have to be like common words as well. So.
But yeah, it's not, they're evocative phrases, which is, the charm.
Like I like new thieves. Like you can picture some, rustlers or something at the zoo. I don't know. But,
Goes well
Uptown
with
Teen, you start
Steerhaven.
singing right away.
You thieve the news and you take them to your Steerhaven.
Exactly.
But it's good. Then the sun on the lock is great. The fact that ended up being in order. And I love that was like hinted that there's another step. Hey, the characters, and if you got it wrong, that's fine, because so did the characters in the story. They also did just that thing. But hey, there's another step, and then you've got it feels really nice to go through.
Yeah.
When I wrote the framing part to that, I put that in partly because when I was testing it, I made a mistake and put them in planet order, but not with the sun to the right, like a dummy.
Yeah,
And, and Scott was like, "No, try again." And I was like,
"Where's the sun?"
Perhaps look at the thing.
It is fair, and it's one of those ones where, there are a couple of places that even after you've done the main bulk of it, you can get tripped up by how you input the answer, but in no way is it one of those ones where it feels like it's just being mean to you after you've done the hard work. It's like, oh, yep, fair enough, my bad.
You get caught up in the momentum of solving, and you just kind of blaze right past the last thing.
Yeah.
We got more. We got Rosalie the robot.
Yeah.
Shall I Rosalie?
Yeah,
In a moment,
fully functioning robot, which is much easier to do in print than an actual escape room. So
Well, I just want to say congratulations so far. That is a solid first puzzle and exactly the good quality that, Scott, we have come to expect from you.
And Francis, we now
have
expect
come to
from
feel
all future
entitled
things.
to from you.
Ugh. As the records show, I'm pulling my collar aside in the universal symbol for stress.
Well, no, I love what a great little start. Let's continue on. Can I read Rosalie the robot?
Absolutely.
Kiara picked up Rosalie's box of power cake. Do you want Rosalie or Rosalie?
I'm more Rosalie. I'm more interested in the first one. Are you a Kiara when it's with a C or a Ciara?
So Sierra. You know what? Let's go Ciara. Oh, Ciara? I don't like Ciara.
Authors.
How do I say
what
these
are your
names?
thoughts?
I would have said Ciara, but Kiara sounds not incorrect to me either. So
Kiara sounds like I'm saying hello to a New Zealander.
Kiara is the name of the female lion from The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride.
Oh, well, there you go. That's where I got it from.
Wow. Deep cut.
Kiara from The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, picked up
making a guest appearance.
Rosalie's box of power cables and used the forceps to twist a tiny, deeply inset latch on the front. Opening the box revealed 4 cables. Rosalie's back panel had 7 ports, which needed to be connected by the 4 cables to charge her battery. The box of cables included the helpful set of instructions below. Now, before I look at the helpful set of instructions below, I will say that the 7 ports on the back of Rosalie are labelled ROSALIE in a 232 pattern. And then there's a big power port that says power.
Cool. Okay, so in total, there are 7 letters in the name Rosalie, plus the power. So are you going to sneeze? Oh, cough.
Okay.
So there are 7 letters in the name Rosalie, plus the 1 power switch. So that makes sense. We've got 4 cables, so 1 in, 1 out. One end of each cable is going to go into each of these ports.
Okay.
Because there are 8 ports and 4 cables.
Oh, I see. So I could be like S to R to I to A. O to...
What? No, like R to S, A to I, L to power, O to E.
Oh, cool.
That's
Yeah, so
sort of
I
how
can
was
set up
thinking.
with that many connections. Okay, yeah. All right, I see that. I see how that works.
But
That's logic.
let's read what looks like
Nah,
it's going to be some
we don't need to
logic
read the,
puzzle
you don't need to read the
instructions.
clues to do a logic puzzle. What are you talking about? You just start. You just can't start plugging stuff in and see what happens.
Ah.
All right. We need one after the other. You
It's
can
like
start
watching
with
the
number 1.
Survivor episode where they were given a slide puzzle, towards the end of it. And I know they do this a lot in Survivor, but just one particular one where the really athletic dude, he got through the first half of the challenge just fine. And then the last part was this slide puzzle and he ran up and he just started moving things.
Just straight away. Just gotta slide. You gotta slide. Slide. It's
It
a
was
puzzle.
so stressful.
All right. Number 1. 3 pairs of ports must be connected to each other. The 7th must be connected to a nearby power source.
See?
As Danny, I'm saying we didn't need to read it. You figured that out already. You go number 2.
Of the 3 pairs of ports to be connected on Rosalie's panel, at least 1 pair is in a direct horizontal line. Ooh, and at least 1 pair is in a direct vertical line. That is interesting.
The only way to do direct vertical is either R to I or O to E, right?
And that means that the horizontal connection must be in the middle row because...
Does it?
Well, how else could it work?
Well, suppose there's a question of how they could overlap.
No, it's fine to overlap, but let's say, if it's R and I,
Oh, yeah,
where's
yeah.
the horizontal gonna
so
be?
I see
It's
what you
gotta
mean.
be in the middle row.
So, yeah, the middle horizontal is Sal Power.
Yes,
Hey, it's me, Sal Power.
I didn't consider if power was exactly in a horizontal.
I don't know
with
if
the
power
others. It's
is exactly horizontal, but it
relatively,
looks like it's
But it
relatively
does say
horizontal.
of the 3 pairs of ports to be connected on Rosalie's
Oh, you're
panel.
right, the port pairs. Cool, so there's an RI or an OE, and there's definitely an S and A, or an A and an L, or an S and an L.
Yes, that
There's
is
some
how
kind
I'm
of
seeing it.
Sal connection.
I like logic puzzles. It's one of those things where, like Sudoku, some people trash them being in escape rooms because they just sort of sit, stare, work things out a bit. Tough, I like it.
Yeah, do a puzzle, people. Just enjoy puzzles. Exactly 1 chord connects a pair of letters that both fall alphabetically between the 2 letters connected by another chord.
Oh, boy,
Wait,
oh.
I take it back. Logic puzzles suck.
I gotta
Hold
read
on.
this one again.
Exactly 1 chord connects a pair of letters that both fall
Oh.
alphabetically between the 2 letters connected by another chord.
So I'm guessing, for example, if
Oh.
A and S connect, L and R could connect because those 2 letters are both between A and S?
Yes, but sneakily, I think that wouldn't be true because if A and S connect, then we have to either go R and I.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying as an offhand example for that rule.
But yeah,
alone.
I think the fact there's only one, exactly one, could definitely mess with that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right? Because I'm saying if you do S and A, then
everything
else is between them. So S and A can't connect.
A is the first letter.
Every other
S
connection
is the last letter.
Exactly.
Of these
so we definitely can't connect S and A.
Great.
Because otherwise, all the other connections would fulfill that brief, but only one does.
All right. And rule 4, the final rule: no more than one chord connects 2 consonants or 2 vowels. So at least 2 of the chords connect a consonant and a vowel.
Cool.
Interesting.
Now, if we do the OE as the vertical, then the rest of that we don't need to worry about clue 4, I think. Because we know we can't connect A and I. No, we don't actually, I suppose. That would teach us that we couldn't connect A and I.
Sure.
Okay, that's all we have. So those are the 4 clues. We'll go back to them, but I'll just quickly do the bottom of this passage. When they connected all the chords properly, they could hear something that sounded like a power surge, but Rosalie stayed inert. They then saw that she had a power button on her left shoulder, which was unfortunately behind a locked panel. Aww. The panel had a small keyboard and a 6-letter display. Ewan sighed. How many people are in this room? Well, now what? Not to worry, Malik said. I see what the password must be. Can you figure out how the chords were arranged and the password that opens the panel?
Intriguing.
And how many people in the room? We've not seen the same name twice yet. Okay, we got to connect the 8 people so that 2 of them are holding a chord. Okay, so what are you thinking? What's a good place to properly start? We know already we can't do S and A.
No, so it's either S and L or A and L for that middle one, we're assuming.
We're assuming. I'm not sure about the power being part of the... Oh, no, it was the pair of ports. So yes, it's either... We know it can't be S and A, so yeah, either S and L or A and L.
S and L just feels good to me as a starting point because there's some stuff within that and some without that.
That's a good way to do logic puzzles, to pick a random starting point and sort of see if the logic breaks anywhere.
Yeah.
So if it was S and L, right, we have a chord between... I'm assuming that doesn't mean that A is now inaccessible. I'm assuming we can just move the chord a little. So S and L connect.
Mm-hmm.
Are there a set of 2 things that could connect that are between S and L?
Yes.
Noting that we can't connect R and O.
Then not so. Then I'm
because
struggling
then
already.
We wouldn't be able to do a vertical. So I think we can't do S and L.
Oh,
right?
that was easy.
Because R and O is the only thing that's between S and L. But if we do R and O, there's no chance to do vertical for a.
Well, I will interpose to say that you could perhaps have something else be the thing that's inside another thing. S and L could be the 3rd chord that's not involved in that relationship.
Oh, okay, that's a good point. That wouldn't break it. It would break it for S and L, but not in general. You're right. Right.
Like this isn't possible, but E and I could be between I and O could be between E and R, for instance.
Yes,
Not
that is
wrong.
correct. You're right. We don't have to make this horizontal one the one that connects.
Why did we want to put that together so much?
It's just fun. Okay, so it could be S and L.
I'm keeping S and L together.
All right.
But
if I could rearrange the alphabet, I'd put S and L together. We know that we either have an RI or an OE. OE? So let's say S and L was connected, right?
Yep.
Then, if we had R and I, well, rather, we could, okay, if it's S and L, it would have to be R and I. It cannot be O and E.
Tell me more.
Because then we would have more than one chord that connects 2 consonants or 2 vowels. S and L, both consonants. So if it's S and L...
Wait, hold on.
No more than one chord connects 2 consonants or 2 vowels.
I see.
Right? So we'd have S and L as
Yep.
one chord that does that, so we couldn't have O and E.
I'm with you.
So if it's S and L, it has to be R and I. Right? That's forced by that piece of logic. And then, of the final ones, are there 2 of them that sit between S and L?
No.
There are not. So
and same with I and R. O is the only one that fits between those.
Yeah, so that couldn't work, I think. We couldn't make that true. So let's not say, so it's not S and L. S and L forces us to break the logic.
Cool.
Okay, so that means we know it's not S and A. We know it's not S and L.
Well, did I've already forgotten, did we know definitely about S and A?
Because they were the first and the last, so everything would fit between them.
Right,
so
right.
we forced there to be too many.
All right, well, let's give A
So
and
it's gotta
L
be,
a go.
I think it has to be A and L.
See what's going to happen here.
So let's say it's A and L, and I believe this is true.
Okay, so if we are using A, then we...
Are there two things that fit between A and L?
L is pretty early in the alphabet. Like I and E are the only
But we
two
can't
that
do
go
I and E.
between them.
So we know that A and L is not the one that there's something inside of.
Great.
Cool. We also have now no longer done our
Double consonant,
double
double
consonant.
vowel.
So this counts as one of the two chords that, at least two chords. It could be all three of them. But so that's all right in terms of rule number 4.
Yeah.
If we do a vertical, if we did the OE vertical, just as an arbitrary choice, does the logic still connect? We now have no worries about the clue 4, no more than one chord connects 2 consonants or 2 vowels, because we have only one that will do that.
Mm-hmm.
We have our vertical, we have our horizontal, and the question would just be about the...
I don't think we've got our tweenie.
Nothing could fit between anything. So it's not OE.
I think RI makes
So let's go R and I.
Hmm.
Now do we have the possibility of a tweener?
Only if it's also OE, which is interesting.
Can we do OE?
Is there a reason?
At least one pair is indirect, at least one's direct vertical. It's perfectly fine to do O and E.
Okay, so if we have a connection RI, OE, and AL.
Yep, and then S power.
Yeah, let's see what that does to our rules.
So we have now joined A and L together. We have joined R and I together. We have joined O and E together. We have joined S and power together. Danny, does that break any logic?
Well, let's go through the rules and find out.
Let's go through the rules.
3 pairs of ports are connected to each other, and the 7th must be connected to the power source.
Done.
That looks like what we got.
We got AL, RI, OE, S power.
Of the 3 pairs on the panel, at least one pair is directly horizontal.
AL, done.
And at least one pair in direct vertical. We've put
RI
2,
or OE.
but that was at least. So
yep, at least. That's fine.
Exactly one chord connects a pair of letters that both fall alphabetically between the 2 letters connected by another chord.
Okay.
Let's double check this one because this is the most complicated one. So what we have said is... I forget. Wait.
Maybe this isn't true.
No, you're right, because E isn't between anything. What are we doing?
Okay, so that doesn't work. So it's got to be E and S. It's got to be E and S.
Brains.
Right? E and S makes R and I fit between them.
Okay.
If we do an ES connection.
Right.
And then O goes to power.
Okay.
We still have the vertical line. We still don't have any issues about...
That's better.
We have the horizontal, we have the vertical. We now have E and S has R and I between them. A and L are not between them. So that's fine. So now we've got points 1, 2, 3, all fine.
And then no more than one chord is connecting 2 consonants or 2 vowels.
We have
and I
none
don't
of them
think
like
any
that, which
of
is
them
great.
are doing that.
So I think that's what it is. So we went through the logic. If you ever do a logic puzzle, that's a great final step. You just got to go back and double check. So we have A to L, R to I, S to E, O to power.
And now we need to figure out what the 6-letter word is going to be.
Well, first let's pat ourselves on the back for probably plugging it in right. That's my front, but that's all right. No, they can't hear. It's audio only. And then it is, wait, I see what the password must be. Well, I'm going to just connect some stuff, right? As in, like, we have AL is already stuck together. We have SE is stuck together. RI, real C.
Let's take a look.
All rise, but without an extra L. Risel.
Riseal.
My favorite of the Von Trapp children.
Well, I have rearranged those to make an actual word.
Oh, which is? Real is? Sylar? What is it?
Why Sylar?
Why not?
That's because that's not how the letters are connected to each other. No, SE is already together. Why are you saying Psy?
Oh, yeah, I just couldn't find it. What is it?
Oh, just keep. There are only 3 things. There are only a few options.
It's either Re-L-C. That's not anything. It could be Re-C-Y. Seal. Reseal.
Ryseal.
Oh, no, it's Ryseal. Damn it. It could be Alceri. That's not it. It could be Alrise.
It's going to be the last one you
It
pick.
could be cereal.
Okay, second last.
It's cereal, everybody. That took me far too long to be able to see. I tried so hard and got so far.
They just read left to right, actually.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't need your input. Who invited you on the show? Cereal.
Cool.
Malik says, it's cereal. I'm Malik and I know these things. I'm putting cereal into the shoulder of the robot.
Who invited Malik?
Who invited Malik? So I believe that's it.
That unlocks the panel to reach the power button. Yes.
Nice.
Excellent.
That was a lot. I love a good logic puzzle.
Yeah, I
we
really
talk about
enjoy
this
them.
a lot, that we don't do many logic puzzles
Because they're hard to write.
and for us, I think we're used to trying to like make them engaging audio, but I think when you get a new guest on and try and record the audio of someone doing a logic puzzle, it's quite hard to have the audience know what's going on. I think we do an okay job when we're playing
I'm
it.
sure it's challenging.
But it takes
no
a lot
matter
of practice,
what,
I think.
but-
So we don't usually use them in an audio escape room too often, but they're so much fun to do. I loved that one. That was great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a quickie. There's some much more complicated ones, but I thought that one would, work on the fast, go a little faster.
Oh, yeah. And it's just a taster. You don't want to give it away.
I enjoy puzzles that, feel like they have a physical component, even if they're only on the page.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It makes a real difference.
Create an environment and, just to imagine that you're manipulating props. I like the classic, here's a grid and Johnny doesn't do his laundry on Tuesdays and what have you. They're fun, but I like a variety of experience in logic puzzles. Incidentally, there's a quicker way to eliminate SL. So you don't have to go through the alphabet business, is that once you've connected SL, it's impossible to not connect two vowels because there's only one consonant left.
Interesting.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
So you can zoop. That's meant to be a little way to, not have to do so much bookkeeping work. But as it turns out, you can get there the long way as well.
We're not on a time limit, so it doesn't matter.
We're just chilling.
But no, that's very fair.
Yeah.
Is a good point. So, yeah, I find logic puzzles, I love them. I find them a real pain to write. How's it for you?
It is a real pain to write. I mean, it's fun because I like solving logic puzzles, and the act of writing logic puzzles is a lot like solving a logic puzzle. My usual approach is to just write a whole lot of clues that I would expect to see in the kind of logic puzzle that I'm writing, and then solve them and see how far I get. And then figure out what would be an interesting thing for the next step to be, having gotten to that point.
Yeah. It's, to me, it's very much like the difference between solving and writing a Sudoku. The difference.
It's a whole different game.
Oh.
Writing a Sudoku manually is a very interesting experience, which I taught myself on the fly long ago with another book called Sudoku in Space, which was sci-fi themed Sudoku variants.
Oh, nice.
And one of the puzzles later in this book is one that I thought of shortly after doing that book, which was it's a dungeon crawl in a Sudoku called Digits and Dragons. So I'll show it to you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Can't see it, but there's swords and monsters, and you have to pick up swords that have a higher value than the monster you're going to slay with them, and a key that has to match.
I love it.
Teleport pads that teleport you to the matching number, and the givens are walls that you can't pass through, and you've got to get about and slay all the monsters and pick up the key and escape.
That's a whole new level of madness.
Well, I think my favorite section. I think my favorite section of the book that Francis put together is called Evolving Doors, and it's these signs on the door logic puzzles where some things on the statements on the doors are true and some statements are false and some are alternating true and false, and you have to go through these rooms to find the passwords based on these statements on the signs on the doors. So it's a very Raymond Smallian laid an entire kind of logic puzzle. And Francis just kind of put together these increasingly complex, like it starts with just 3 doors and then it's like 6 doors and the signs are on the floor and you have to figure out where they go.
It's just very cool.
Just an amazing feat.
Does sound amazing. And it's exactly stuff like that that makes me feel comfortable every time I say, no, I just write silly little podcast stories. I'm not a puzzle writer, because this is what puzzle writing looks like, and it's terrifying.
I think one of the things that I almost feel like this book is like a really great intermediate step for people who are, like, if people listen to this show and they like the escape room style puzzles that we do, or the sort of puzzles that you see in an actual escape room in a physical space, and they think, I want to get more into puzzling. I feel like it's sometimes hard for people to bridge the gap between like this level of puzzling that we do and then like puzzle hunts, which have a similar sort of connectivity, but they go to 100%. They're just like, oh, obviously at this stage, you should recognize that these numbers are the same numbers that once appeared in a book. And you're like, well, no one should recognize this. But this feels like this really great sort of, if people are looking to do more puzzles and you like what we do, it's a good like step up in terms of the format is different. So the puzzle complexity can sit a little bit higher and then build up and still work within like a narrative framework and still work within, this is like an escape room. It feels like a really nice step up for people who want to do more puzzles. And because they're good.
That's what we're shooting for. Yeah. I think like Scott and I have both worked on many an overcomplicated puzzle hunt, and I appreciate the opportunity to dial it back a little bit, because
and I think it's necessary. It's a hard jump for people who like puzzles who then want to do something like that. It's hard to find steps towards that, and this feels like a really perfect step towards that.
It's actually been really interesting, and I was responding to an email not long ago where someone had asked for some advice for at-home games for intermediate players, and I went, that's really interesting. All of the at-home things that I've seen have pretty much been really good for beginners or really good for ultra advanced. I don't know what I would recommend for intermediate.
This fits into that world, which is a really nice sort of transitional period of like, oh, you like puzzles? Well, let's start warming up. Come on, let's get into it. Let's do some, And what I loved about
nothing yet.
What I really liked about these ones as well is that you obviously care a lot about that feeling of authenticity in terms of feeling like an escape room setting, but also it's really evident in that the puzzles fit so well. Sometimes you find a puzzle, and especially when people get into like logic puzzles or Sudoku style puzzles or things like that, so often it's you're doing a room, the creepy serial killer's cabin, and now just stop and do like a logic puzzle. It has nothing to do with anything. Have some fun. These have felt like I'm in space. So what am I doing? I'm finding a code for planets that fits, then goes into a space thing. I need to keep space in my head while I'm doing the puzzle. I find a robot. The logic puzzle is now about plugs and power. It's about and even the fact that the final solution code still thematically fits. It's a serial. I'm looking for the serial numbers. It's a robot. There's a connection thematically, which has been kept for these two puzzles. And I'm assuming for the rest of the puzzles in the book, which is very enjoyable to play through. It's very grounding in a fun way. You feel.
I love story. I love story in a puzzle. Like in the puzzle hunt, as much flavor that can be brought, the more that can be brought, the more excited I am about it. And perhaps it's having a bit of a theatrical background and wanting it to be a show to some extent as possible. So there's a story, there's props, there's just a feeling of being caught up in something that's happening. And this is why my favorite part of the book is the last chapter, which is actually sort of a variation and expansion of have you done that room here, Scott? The arcade room?
Was the one I was talking about, the live stream, the Purple Unicorn room. For the arcade room.
Yeah, so we took some concepts from that and tweaked, like some of the puzzles were tweaked, some of them were expanded, some of them were sort of rewritten to have a new vibe, and that became the chapter Raiders of the Lost Arcade.
Nice.
So it has some adaptations of puzzles from that room. That's Digits and Dragons is in the world of the room.
Nice.
A video game in the world. There's some souvenir T-shirts from the arcade. There's a skee ball game.
Oh, man.
There's a claw
Proper
machine.
illustrations. That's another thing that I always appreciate because I can't do it.
Oh, nice.
The old NES style stack of cartridges.
Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful.
So yeah, I really love how that chapter came out in terms of like the flow of all the different ways of the since it started out as an escape room and we were able to sort of build off that, then like it had the superstructure already to really give it some flavor, and then added as many visuals as I could to keep to give it some further immersion. Anyway, I'm really happy with how that chapter came out.
Oh, lovely.
And yeah, Scott, I appreciate that your favorite is the Evolving Doors, because that's the one where I don't remember how long it took or what happened or what I was doing. I was just in a
yeah.
I was in
a fugue state to do those kinds of puzzles.
So,
yeah.
Do you have an estimate or an exact number of how many puzzles are actually in this?
Well, I could count them. I
like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've done half of them.
Yeah. It's one page of it's just these 2 puzzles we just did and 50 pages of story.
I just basically know that whatever number you come up with and are about to say here, I go, oh God, that's a lot to create.
True.
There's 7 escape rooms, and there's also some interstitial puzzles between the rooms that are sort of like the friends playing a game of cards in between rooms to see who's going to treat for dinner, or deciding who's going to sit where on the drive to the room.
So I counted 50 plus an epilogue.
Oh boy.
Oh, wow.
50-ish.
50-ish.
Goodness gracious. So yeah,
Tilda 50.
when I do my escape rooms, I always say, as far as actual puzzles go, there's only ever a maximum of 3. Everything else is just like room incidentals and finding connections.
An audio room that comes together in an hour.
So that's well over somewhere between 15 and 20 of my room's worth of puzzles at a more puzzly level than my room's. That's a lot of work.
True.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot.
Well, look, for people who are listening along, if you enjoyed that, and we definitely enjoyed
Absolutely.
go and get yourself a copy of the book. It's out now. It's good. There's a link in the show notes so you can get right there. But otherwise, where can people find the book? I'm assuming it's easy to just Google escape room logic puzzles.
Amazon, Barnes and Noble.
Yes, in all your fine book purveyors, live and online, I believe. Yes, definitely. I've definitely got it at my local Barnes and Noble. They've definitely got it on Amazon, and yeah.
That's cool. Put a couple of links in the description.
Yeah, wonderful. So go and check it out. Thank you for coming on, and
it's really good. I mean, we already came into this with a good level of confidence because Scott, we've played your rooms before, and it's really nice because we are still at a stage in the puzzle community where everything is kind of variable, and it's hard to know what you're going to get and whether something matches your puzzle expectations. Are you going to feel satisfied at the end of this? So it's really good to know that there's one out there and go, oh yeah, I know this one is trustworthy. I know it's going to make me feel good when I have done these puzzles.
Yes. Yeah, we talk a lot.
That's not inevitable in all of them.
No, and we talk a lot about trust is important when you're doing puzzles. If you don't trust the person writing the puzzles, eventually you're just like, well, I don't know, maybe I'll just try some random digits. Maybe that's what they want me to do.
I definitely have that in some puzzle hunts where we see who wrote a certain puzzle and go, oh no, I remember you.
Yeah, this is going to be a wild one. Look, this just reinforced that trust as well. These were 2 very lovely puzzles. They all made sense. I never felt like we needed to assume something ridiculous or jump ahead.
No, even when we were making mistakes, that was on us and felt like part of the process as well. Nothing felt bad at any point.
It was a lovely set of puzzles, and I'm excited to do more. Go and check it out if you're listening at home. Go and grab a copy. It's a great. If you like our show, which I'm assuming you do because you're listening to it, then you should grab a copy of this book and play it. Give it to yourself for a Christmas present. Well, thank you so much.
Pretend
Scott.
that people actually celebrate Christmas in July and buy it as a Christmas present.
Beach read.
Exactly. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Francis, for coming and showing us
so
some
much.
puzzles and running them through. It was great fun. I think that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, anything else that you want to say? Anything that we should end
It was
with?
so nice to meet you both. Thanks for having us. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
It was wonderful. All right. Bye, everybody.
So long.